I'm going to start recording. This is the second part of this session for September the 11th. And this is a ELT 125, section 2. We are finishing with a revision of the analysis, searching for the composition of syllables and basically identifying how many syllables are present in a word and also which one is the most prominent of all. I think Patricio already finished with his analysis. And Maria Fernanda, I think it would be your turn if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Gosh, not again.
Okay, can you see?
I can.
Can you see? Okay. So the first word was apologize. It has 4 syllables and the prominent is in the second one. It's apologize. The second word was authority and it has 4 syllables and the stress was in the second one. The third word was authorize and it has 4 syllables and the prominence is in the first one. Then we have aware. It has 3 syllables and the prominence is in the second one. Then we have awareness. It has 4 syllables and the prominence is in the second one. And finally we have bacteria. It has 3 syllables and the prominence is in the third one. The second one, sorry.
Excellent. Very, very well done, Maria Fernanda. Thank you so much. Very interesting words. Authority, authorize. We can see in Maria Fernanda's example a stress shift. The word authorize, which is stress in the first syllable. The stress shifts to the second syllable in the word. Authorize. Let me double check the words because I don't see them anymore. Yeah. Authorize, authority, right? Authorize, authority. So we call this a sort of a shift, a stress shift from one syllable in this case in the first one to the second one, right? Let's see who's in the room, so we can continue with the analysis. Javiera, Amaya.
I can present mine, teacher. ¿Se me escucha?
Yes, we can hear you. So you cannot share yours?
I can share, I can share.
Go for it.
It shows or...
Yes, it does. Yes.
All right. My first word was fornix and have 2 syllables and stress in the first one. Fornix. The second word was geography, total 3 syllables, and the stress was in O. Geography. Oh. The next one was happiness, has only 3 syllables, and the stress was in ha, happiness. The next one was happy, and the same as happiness, have the stress in ha, but this one only has 2 syllables. The next one is heterogeneous, who has 5 syllables, and the stress was in G. G. And the final one was Hades, who has 3 syllables, and the stress one was 5. Yes.
Thank you so much, Amaya. Now we're going to open this to conversation because I have some comments about the words. Amaya, if you can share again your presentation. Thank you so much, because I went to Cambridge Online Dictionary and I got exactly your same transcriptions. That's why I wanted to discuss this with the class as part of a class discussion that we can have. Anyone would like to make a comment? Specifically, for word 46, geography.
The g sound with the R sound should be together in the same syllable or not? Because I thought that when I saw the word.
Yeah, because when we say that we're counting syllables, basically we're counting vowel sounds, because vowels are always going to be the nucleus, and a syllable can only have one nucleus, so one syllable should be present. So in the word geography, the Cambridge Online Dictionary is not showing the division between G, there should be a dot here, G, right? So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. And obviously the second one, because we can see the primary stress right before the second syllable. The second syllable should be the stressed one, the most prominent one. And in the case of heterogeneous, very, very long word. How many syllables? 4, 5, 6.
5.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many vowel sounds? We have het, the second the e and g, then ni, and then us, the final schwa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 6, right? 6 vowel sounds. Please, if you don't agree, say it, because that's part of the class, right? But I think there are the A, the 2 schwas, the 2 E's, so that's 5, and then a final schwa, ni, us. Unless you count ear as a 1, nucleus, which is also another way to count this. But according to the transcription, and since they are separated, the last two vowel sounds, E and we should count 6. That's why it's very important to see the transcription and see that sometimes words may be transcribed in 2 different ways. And the last one, hideous, I think hideous was very, very clear, explained by Amaya. Hid, the first one, E, the second syllable, and the nucleus for the last syllable. Okay, very well done, Amaya. I think I had a doubt about geography and heterogeneous. That's basically it. Thank you so much. Javiera, would you like to share your analysis? Thank you, Amaya.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen? Am I sharing my screen?
Yes, now we can see it.
So, there, here it is. The first word is regardless, and it has 3 syllables, and the most prominent one is the second one, this one. Then in number 87, we have responsibility. It has 6 syllables, and the most prominent one is the fourth one, this one. Then we have security. It has 4 syllables, and the most prominent one is the second one, this one. Then sensible. It has 3 syllables, and the most prominent syllable is the first one, sensible. Then we have sensitive. It also has 3 syllables, and also the most prominent syllable is the first one, sensible, sen. And finally, we have session that has 2 syllables, and the most prominent syllable is also the first one, sensible, sen. But I mean, session was in the first. Session, the most prominent one is the first one.
All righty, thank you so much. I totally agree with you. Interesting about the different ways that we can divide syllables. I was checking in Cambridge Dictionary and then in a different source, the word 88, security, that sometimes security can be divided with security. So the goes in the third syllable, and other syllable divisions put the sound in the second syllable. So security.
Like this?
Like, exactly, like that. So particularly in the Cambridge Dictionary, we see that in the American transcription, whereas in the UK transcription, we see the along with the schwa together, the and the schwa together. So there are some differences, as you can see, the spelling in English and also the phonetic transcription in English is not very consistent. So you don't have to look for certainties in English in general, and that has to do with the origins of English, right? If you consider the origins of English, English has been influenced by many different cultures and of course, many different languages. Latin has been an influence when the Roman Empire invaded this big island. Also, when the Normans invaded the island, they took the culture, the laws, and the language, French. So, and of course, the first tribes before the Roman Empire arrived, were the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes, and all of them took the violence, the swords, the axes, and the language. So that's why many languages have influenced English. That there are many inconsistencies in terms of the way words are spelled and words are pronounced. So that's mainly the reason for this. So how can we come up with some sort of rules that could be used in order to find some certainty? Because if we don't have certainty, it's basically what we're living now. I mean, we're living in a context in which there are not many certainties, right? We don't know when the coronavirus or COVID-19 is going to finish. We don't know how we're going to proceed in the next months. So there are many different levels of uncertainties. Let's try to find some certainties in terms of pronunciation. So if you're seeing the slide that I'm trying to share, one certainty would be that syllables or words, right, containing, of course, a number of syllables that varies, can be classified as monosyllable, disyllable, and polysyllable, meaning one syllable, like to, for, when, dissyllable with two syllables, right, like table, like dancing, and polysyllable having more than three or more syllables, right? And another certainty is that if a word contains two or more syllables, I'm reading the last paragraph, two or more syllables, at least one of them will be louder or longer, or will have a higher pitch. Okay, so if we get two or more syllables, one of them will be the most prominent of the group. That's one certainty, right? Now let's see some of the rules that can be applied. We will have a phenomenon called primary stress. Okay, the primary stress is marked with this upper hand stroke that we can see in the transcription of the word international. If you see this stroke here, that's called the primary stress. It goes before the syllable, which is the most salient one, right before, in the upper left corner, upper hand left corner. Other words, longer words, will contain a secondary stress, and the secondary stress is called to be subordinate to the primary stress. So it has a little bit less force, a little bit less strong, a little bit less longer than the primary stress. And how can we show it this? How can we show this visual clue or visual cue with this stroke? This time at the bottom left corner. Okay, international, international, international. Clearly, the third syllable is the one which is stressed. That's going to contain or bear the primary stress. There are other words which are called double stressed words or even stressed words. There are a few of them, these I wouldn't be concerned much about them, like 15 or Berlin, in which there's a sort of a balance between the stress provided to the first and to the second syllable. So in general, we're going to see words that contain a primary stress, and some of them a secondary stress. Most of them are long words. So far, so good? Right. Now, let's talk about stress placement, which is basically where to put the stress, where to place the stress. Okay, so I would like to ask for Maria Fernanda's help for the first part, and then Patricio's help for the second part. Okay, so I would say the first part is up to here, right? That's the second part. Whenever you want.
Stress placement. Every English word has a definite place for the stress. If we stress the wrong syllable, it may create misunderstanding. Although stress placement in English words is very complicated, we still can find some rules to observe. A. General rules of stress placement for simple words. For most English words of two syllables, the stress usually falls on the first syllable. Common, nation, open, study, sorry.
And 2. In words of 3 or more syllables, the stress usually falls on the third syllable. From the end. Universe, article, relative, democracy, economy. B. Compounds. 1. Most compounds, ESP nouns, bear primary stress on the first element. Sports ground, bathroom, language teacher.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So I just, by the way, copied a link in the chat box if you're interested in learning about the evolution of the English language. So what are some of the general rules that can be applied from the section read by Maria Fernanda? Maria Fernanda talked about a general rule. What's the rule that she mentioned? Cristobal, can you summarize it in your own words? Chris, are you here?
Yes, for the first part.
Yes, please, the first part.
I mean, like we have to be careful because if we stress the wrong syllable, we can, like, the people that is hearing us could get another word, another meaning. For example, progress and progress. One is a noun and other is a verb. So that is
exactly
like the important thing that we have to be careful with.
Exactly. Very, very well said. Very well said. And in general, right? If you find a word that contains two syllables, in general, it's the first one that's going to be stressed. This is a general rule, right? Very, very general. Common, nation, open, study, and sorry are very good examples, but then we're going to find some exceptions that we're going to deal with later. And Amaya, can you summarize in your own words this number 2? What do you understand by these statements? This statement, sorry. Number 2.
And for number 2, I understand words have 3 or more syllables. The stress is in the third. It has 3 in the last one, or if more than 3 syllables in the third.
That's right. It took me a while at the beginning when I read this statement the first time, because for 3 or more syllables, the stress falls. Falls is a very interesting word to use, right? The stress falls on the third syllable, but the third syllable from the end. I mean, we have to count from right to left. Article, T, A, universe, universe, E-U. So we need to count from right to left, and there is going to be the third syllable, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's a third syllable from right to left hand. And this is a rule that you can apply for words that contain 3 or more syllables. Okay, so in this case, democracy, because democracy has at least 4 syllables, if you agree with me, and then 1, 2, 3. Democracy. The third one from right to left is going to be the one in which on which the stress falls on. And the last one, most compounds, right? Particularly compound nouns will be stressed in the first one. So no sports ground, but sports ground. Bathroom, language teacher. Okay, so this is a general rule that you can apply. 2 syllables, and they're generally stressed on the first syllable. 3 or more syllables, usually it's the third syllable stressed from right to left. And if you have a compound noun, right, a compound noun, for example, this compound noun is composed by one noun and another noun, so that's why it's called a compound noun. The same thing with bath and room, language and teacher. Okay, so it's usually the first element, the one that's going to be stressed. These are general rules. Let's see now something that's got to do with double stress. We have compound nouns as well here, but they have a double stress or level stress. Paper tiger, leather shoes, cotton cloth, boiling water. Boiling water or boiling water, we have almost even stress, right? And in the last one, very few compounds bear primary stress on the second element. Remember that in general, compounds are stressed on the first element, but these are exceptions in which the second element is stressed. If Patricio, if you can read the examples, please, considering the statement, of course.
For the third?
All of them, please.
Okay. Some compounds don't have those. Paper tiger, leather shoes, cotton cloth, boiling water, and in the third will be without, mankind, whatever, myself, and forever.
Perfect. Perfect and very, very well read. Myself, forever, whatever. Exactly. The second element of this compound is the one stressed in this case, right? In general, it's the first element, but there are some exceptions. English is full of exceptions. So we need to learn to be flexible and bear with these uncertainties, linguistic uncertainties, okay? Let's see if we can go to the next slide. Rules for derivatives. Do you have any idea what derivative means? What's the idea? Any clue? No clue at all? A total mystery?
It sounds like a false friends like derivados.
Yeah, it does. It does. Okay, derivados. Any idea? People in specialized areas, specialized fields, love to create new technical complex words to refer to ideas that may be explained probably in an easier way. So this concept is basically I don't want to read this. Amaya, would you like to read this aloud, please? If you're okay with that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rules for verbs. In language, fewer verbs are words formed from other root words. They are often used to transform a root word into a different grammatical category. For example, making a verb into a noun or an adjective into an adverb. Teacher, you are muted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the derivatives are from root. I mean, we have like a basic form, and then we create another word by inserting or including something at the beginning or something at the end. For example, I don't know, possible, impossible. What do? We just added one little segment at the beginning. Possible, impossible. What else? Success, successful, success, successful. What do? We just added a segment at the end of the word. Okay? So in general, those segments included or added at the beginning, like impossible, are called prefix, or prefixes, right? Some say prefixes also. And the segment included at the end, like successful, full would be called a suffix. All right, suffixes are these small segments added at the end of a word. Okay, so usually they may change the meaning, and sometimes they can change the part of a speech or grammatical category, as you can read, or Amaya actually read, turning a verb into a noun or into an adjective, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to see some of the rules for derivatives, not from the point of view of grammar, because you're going to see this also from the point of view of grammar, but we're going to see from the point of view of pronunciation, right? Let's take a look at this first rule. I think Sebastian was here. Sebastian is not here anymore. I think it was Sebastian 007. No, Sebastian Rojas 0.07. That's what I meant. Okay, so Patricio, would you like to read aloud this one? I'm sorry, but this small class, so everyone has to pitch in.
Okay.
Thank you.
For words of two or three syllables with one of the following prefixes, the stress usually falls on the second syllable. There are too many examples.
Okay, that came from the heart, right? I wanted to hear your expression. That's why I showed you this at the end. Okay, good. But the idea that Patricia read, two or three syllables which contain a prefix, right? Remember a prefix, this small part or segment that comes at the beginning of a word. The stress usually falls on the second syllable. Let's take a look at some. For example, imprison. Imprison. The root would be prison, right? Prison. And then the prefix would be im. Im. So when we add this specific prefix, we're not stressing the prefix. We're stressing the second syllable. But if you see, prison is already stressed here in the first syllable, prison. So when we add this prefix, we're not changing the stress from what it was. In present, still is this syllable the one stressed. Okay. For example, miscarriage. Miscarriage. The words carriage and the prefix is mis. Miscarriage. So carriage is already stressed here. So when we add the prefix mis, we're not shifting the stress, the primary stress, from the syllable ca to mis, right? So when we add this, in general, when we add these prefixes, we're not shifting the stress to stress the prefix. Usually, it's in the same syllable. Mistake. What's the root for the word mistake? What do you think? Or
Take.
which one is the prefix? Perfect. Take is the root, right? And miss would be the prefix. We say take already. So when we add this prefix, we keep the stress in the same syllable. Mistake. We don't say mistake. Same thing with this one. The root, fortune, right? Fortune. Misfortune. Force. Force. Enforce. Enforce. Okay, so that's basically the idea here. If we have words that contain 2 or 3 syllables, and we're adding a prefix at the beginning, the stress usually falls on the second syllable. Usually the stress does not change from the same position where it was before. Okay? That's sort of a general rule. Okay? For example, the last word to analyze, discover. The root should be just the last example, if you bear with me.
Cover?
Cover, exactly. Cover. So the prefix would be dis. So cover is already stressed in this syllable. Discover, you keep the same. And if you follow the general rule, cover is a 2-syllable word. In general, 2-syllable words are stressed on the first syllable, cover. So then when we add this prefix, we're just keeping the stress on the same syllable that we had before. Okay, so that this is a rule for this derivative. When we have a word that contains 2 or 3 syllables, and we're adding a prefix, which is this small segment at the beginning of the word, right, before the root of the word, the stress usually falls on the second syllable. Okay. What about these case that we're studying? Maria Fernanda, could you read it out aloud, this one, please? Thank you.
Sorry, what? I couldn't hear you.
Can you read aloud this slide, please?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, Maria Fernanda. I don't know if I'm having issues with my speakers, my earphones. Maria Fernanda, are you having issues with your microphone?
Teacher, you're mute.
Yes, I was just saying, Cristobal, can you read the slide, please? Thank you. All right.
For words with one of the following suffixes, the stress usually falls on the preceding syllable of the suffix. Is, graphy, el, ian, ik, ix, ians, ients, fi, ion, is, it, if. Courteous, biography, editorial, historian, systematic, phonetics, experience, sufficient, identity, perfection, ambition, curiosity, protective.
Perfect. So one way to and we're going to finish with this slide, by the way, okay? This is going to be our last slide. So we're going to end with the class before this holiday break, okay? So this sort of this try to be a certainty in this very inconsistent language. The words read by Cristobal here, these segments, are called suffixes. It's a suffix. They are suffixes because they are these small segments, right? They are added at the end of a root. Okay, so if you see this suffixes, for example, in the word courteous, which is the first one read by Cristobal, courteous, court keeps the stress, right? And the suffix is not attracting the stress to itself. With this specific suffixes, the stress is not attracted. We're going to see that some suffixes work in a very evil way, and they take over the stress for them. So these are not evil suffixes. These suffixes do not change the stress, okay? So the same with graphy, biography. Biography, according to the statement here, the stress falls, usually falls on the preceding syllable of the suffix. This is suffix, the preceding syllable, the syllable that goes before, right before, okay? Perfection, perfection. The word or root is perfect. The suffix read by Cristobal is ion, perfection, un, perfection. So perfect keeps the same stress where it was before. I don't know if anyone has a comment about this. Is it clear? Is it not clear? What do you think?
I think it's clear.
Okay. Well, I guess you basically have to know the root of a word. For example, curiosity, maybe curious, or protective, protect. To understand, or system. To understand that usually these suffixes do not attract the stress. Okay, so the stress when you're adding these suffixes usually goes on the preceding syllable. And if you see the word usually falls, right? The stress usually falls. That implies that we cannot guarantee that in 100% of the cases, this is going to be what's going to happen. And that has to do with, as I mentioned before, the inconsistency of the English language, okay? There are many other cases in which we're going to see that suffixes are going to change the stress placement. But so far, in the cases that we have seen, the stress is placed on the same syllable, even if we are adding a prefix or a suffix. Remember, a prefix goes before the root, right? Like mistake, misfortune, imprison. And a suffix goes at the end. The sentence comes after the root. Okay? I hope that the class has been clear for you. We were dealing with at the beginning with counting syllables and where to place the stress. And then we started talking about stress placement, which is where to place a stress. And we were seeing some general rules that we can rely on for the stress placement on 2 syllables, 3 syllables, and compound words. And then we were dealing with derivatives, right? That had to do with rules for the application of prefixes, right? As you can see in this slide, and suffixes, as you can see in the second one. After the break, we're going to review some of the exceptions, and there are some which are very interesting, right? So we're going to leave it up to now. So if there are no further questions, guys, I wish you a very restful and or exciting, whatever you want, holiday break. I'll see you around. Thank you.
See you, teacher. Bye-bye.
See you around.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Have a good time.
You too.
Thank you.
Have a good 18.